Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm a little off here. What happens if I go that way? Does that work? No, that's worse. If I go this way, does this work? Yes, that's better. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm a little early. In fact, I think we have about a minute before everyone else joins us. Do you all have your copies of this? No? Oh, wasn't that in the instructions? This is what I'm going to talk about today. Sort of. Kind of. Ish. It's 10:15. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, human beings of all shapes and sizes, I'm Abby Haggard. Welcome back. This is my fourth video. Oops, too low FPS. Here's... I'm really going to have to write to Facebook and say, if you're going to give me instructions, at least use my initials, don't you think? So today, with Christmas lurching into view, I wanted to talk about something that I'm noticing a lot. And I really only started noticing it late in life. And that is that people aren't really reading the room. That's a showbiz term. And it basically means that when we have our perspective on things, we kind of assume that everyone has the same perspective because we can't really see out of more than one set of eyes at the same time. There's a wonderful old joke about several blind people trying to describe an elephant from different perspectives. And of course, they all describe something completely different because of what they're able to touch. And in today's world where we are all so connected, it's very difficult to remember that who we might be chatting with on social media has a completely different perspective than we do on the basic things. And it's therefore easy to get it wrong, to offend people. Not because we mean to necessarily, although there are some of you who seem to have taken it on as a cause, but we simply can't see what they see because we're all the way over here and they're all the way over there. And the thing about fame, fame is an extraordinary thing. Fame is something that many people think they want. Oh my gosh, if I could be famous. The thing is, they don't really know what that means, what that looks like. Much like this curl, reminds me of that nursery rhyme. People think fame changes your power to magically bring into being all the things you ever dreamed of. When I'm famous, I'll be thin and tall and smarter. And I won't trip over doorways when I walk through them. And that's not true. We have proven that. I have proven that. I have proven that on camera and actually been paid to do it, when you think about it. So when I wrote Fame, the collector's edition, and I'm not plugging the book. It's a prompt. When I wrote Fame, I talked to a bunch of people who are in the business of analyzing people, therapists. I talked to a couple of psychologists about it and about people's gravitation to it. And what I realized was if you take away the idea of show business and stardom and glory, party every night and so on, we become famous for things. And then that's how people recognize it. So recognize us. So if we get a job and we're well recognized in our community, well then we're famous for that job. If we become the employee of the month at one of the coffee places, then we're the employee of the month. And till the end of time, by the way, if you're ever the employee of the month, you're going to get people saying, "Hey, nice parking job, employee of the month," and so you'll never quite live that down. And when I did the Fame book, and I think I said in an earlier video that I interviewed so many of my fabulous kids. One of my fabulous kids said, you can always become a has-been. You can never be unfamous. And I thought about that for a while, and I thought, that might be the most profound thing I've heard in a long time. You can never be unfamous for that thing that you did. Really? How interesting is that? And how inconvenient sometimes. My dad used to say, I'm not going to give you a curfew. It's just that whenever you're about to decide to do something, imagine how you'll feel if it's the front page news tomorrow. Which terrified me, as was his plan, because we don't really think about what will happen next. We think, well, here I am, and I'm lovely, and this is my good side, and this is my other good side, and we don't think about the ripple effect. We think that fame is fame, and it's now, and it'll be exactly like this forever, no matter what. So, the story I wanted to tell you today was mortifying. And, and I used to do it when I was doing stand-up comedy, and people would laugh. And they were all saying, oh my gosh, better her than me, because it was just awful. And on a smaller scale, because it only happened in my town, it was more awful than realizing that people around the world were going to see me looking like Mom. You can't do that on television forever. That was one of those things you can't visualize. You can't imagine $70 billion piled in your living room, and I couldn't imagine the whole world seeing me looking that bad. However, I could imagine this. So here's what happened. I thought I was famous. I thought I was a pretty big deal. And I had been invited to meet somebody really famous. I was invited to a dinner. And oh my gosh, what to wear? Well, of course, I had nothing to wear to meet somebody really famous. So I went shopping. Now, I was starring on a television series. It was weekly. I got to be glamorous. It was wonderful. It was just before you can't do that on television. And I got to entertain and interview very famous, glamorous people. It was a dream job. I got to look amazing. Somebody did my hair and my makeup, and I got to wear fabulous things. And then they paid me. Oh my God. So I was thinking I was, all that. So I went shopping for a dress to suitably impress this global name at dinner, and just kind of, do it in that humble way that I had. So I went to this fabulous store, and I tried on everything, and nothing worked. And then I found the dress, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was going to cost 3 times my rent, and I didn't care, because really, what will it matter after tonight? And I went out and I paid for it, and they were lovely. And as I left, they called to me. And I turned around and I waved. I waved in that way that I had now, because I'm that girl. And I swanned out of that area of the store. And everyone was looking at me differently. And I knew that it was the dress, and I knew that I had already ascended to the next level of heaven, the next level of fame, simply because I had the dress. And when I wore it tonight, oh my gosh. So I left that area and I went to the escalator, and people were all waving and smiling, and I was queenly in my waving and smiling back, and yes, hello from a great height. And all the way down the escalator, people were waving and smiling, and I was waving and smiling back, and then off the escalator and across the lobby, and waving and smiling, and me waving and smiling back, and outside, and I'm carrying the dress, and I just know my life will never be the same. And I'm outside, and I'm about to cross the street to go and get my car, when there, right in front of me, is this fellow that I knew in college, and he was the hottest thing in college, and he stopped and he said, oh my God, look at you. And he knew my name. He knew my name, boys and girls. Oh my God. And everything I said, he found funny. And he laughed, and I laughed in that way that I had, and the stars came out, and the angels sang, and it was a moment in time. And anyway, he suddenly said, oh my gosh, look at the time. I've got to go. There's my ride. You're 1 in a million. You're incredible. And he walked away. And I have the dress, and I'm waving to him, and I'm waving to him as he, goes over across the street and it gets in his ride, and I'm waving and I'm waving. And as I turned back, waving still, I caught sight of myself in the reflective mirror of the full window of this department store. And the entire back of my skirt was caught up in my pantyhose. The entire back. And so, as I stood there waiting, hoping that the gods would smite me and I could die now, as opposed to, I realized why everybody was waving and smiling in the store. It wasn't that they had the faintest idea who I was. They were trying to save me from myself. But my ego, my colossal ego, got in the way. Because I thought I was famous. So I tell this story because, I have no secrets to hide, obviously. And so my advice coming from this and talking about fame and talking about this time of year is it's really important to read the room. This whole just do it, don't overthink, is only good if you really, really know what you're doing. We don't want to overthink. What we do want to do is be aware that we actually have an audience, that we're actually facing the right way, that our skirt isn't caught up in our pantyhose, and that we're talking to people about something they want to hear. Otherwise, there's no talking going on. It's just words. They get spoken and they die. And we choose sides. And we get angry because we're alone. Because nobody's listening. So we can stop that. You and I, we can stop that. We can start having conversations. It doesn't have to always be me with this curl. We can do this with Story Me TV. And that's what these little videos are all about. This is me getting used to the technology. And this is you patiently, kindly rolling your eyes, patting me virtually on the head, shepherding me through it, so that we can get to a place where we're working together, where we come up with creative stuff, we input for each other, we support each other, and we build something in the process together that lots of people want to watch. We're global children. We have no borders. We have no boundaries. What we have is an opportunity to do something extraordinary and make everyone glad they came, including us. And the one last thing I want to tell you before I say goodbye today is I got an outreach this morning from a friend of mine who said, "Do you do cameos?" And the funny thing is that I was asked a few months ago, had I registered on Cameo, and I said, no, should I do that? Oh, yes, absolutely. I registered. And again, yes, I'm Abby Haggard, and I'd like to be on Cameo. And somebody sent me a message back and said, well, thank you very much. You're not famous enough. We've never heard of you. Oh, but didn't matter. They'd never heard of me. Okay. So I said to myself after I stopped laughing hysterically, well, I don't have to join Cameo. I'm on the internet. I can do it myself. So the last live event I did, fabulous live event in Ottawa called FanaticCon, crazy fun thing. I told people that I would do a character voice, one of my character voices, as greetings on their phones. All they had to do was bring their phone. And I wouldn't charge them much. And so people were coming to the booth and saying, oh my God, can you do Eleanor Tweeg from Teddy Ruxpin? Absolutely. It will scare anyone who phones you, but what the heck? Can you do a Care Bear? Certainly. Can you talk like Mom? Yes. How about the librarian from You Can't Do That? Of course I can. So this morning the fellow said, do you do cameos? And I said how ironic that I'm going to be talking about fame. No, but here's what I was thinking. Wouldn't it be fun if I did cameo video phone greetings for you? When you ask me, And then everybody watches me do it. And you get to keep it and use it. So you think about that. You think about that. Tell me I'm crazy. But I mean, how hard can it be, really? And maybe those could be my little Christmas presents to you. We'll call it rehearsing to see if this is something that people would like in the future. Because in the future, for Story Me TV, there will be two categories of people who are playing. Subscribers who just want to be insiders and watch all the stuff. And subscribers who are influencers, who want to help, who want to play, who want to create in any way that they can. Audio, video, writing, music, dance, whatever. Design, whatever. Okay? You think about that. Now, it's 10:30, which means that I'm supposed to go. Before I do, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Be good to each other. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Okay? Bye-bye.